Sally Field finally talks about James Garner at the age of 78. Sally Field's full name is Sally Margaret Field. She was born on November 6, in 1946, in Pasadena, California. Her mother, Margaret Field, was an actress, and her stepfather, Jock Mahoney, was a famous actor and stuntman. She grew up in a household that worked in the entertainment industry. Field was around the world of performing and entertainment from an early age. But it wasn't easy for her to become famous, and she had to work hard to get there. As a child, she was shy and sensitive. She discovered early on that acting offered her a voice and a sense of belonging. This spark would drive her to work hard to build a career that would make her one of the most admired actresses of her time. Field became famous in the 1960s when she played a surfing kid full of hope and charm on the light-hearted TV show Gig from 1965 to 1966. The show only lasted one season, but it made Field famous and earned her a loyal fan base. She next starred in another TV show, The Flying Nun, from 1967 to 1970. She played Sister Bertriel, a novice nun whose diminutive size and aerodynamic habit let her literally take flight. The show was a hit and made her more well-known in the profession, but she often felt stuck in a role that focused more on gimmicks than on her talent. Later, she said she was afraid of being typecast as a light actress who could only get sweet or funny roles. Even though those early parts were restrictive, they taught her a lot and provided her the strength to keep going when others might have given up. Sally Field was determined to be taken seriously, so she signed up for acting school at the famous actor workshop where she learned under the great Lee Strasberg. This training changed everything. It gave her the tools and courage to change her life, going from being a comedian on TV to taking on more serious dramatic roles. The TV movie Sybil 1976, in which she played a young woman with multiple personality disorder, was her big break. Both critics and audiences were blown away by the performance. Field's haunting and highly emotional performance silenced many who had called her just a sitcom star. She earned an Emmy for the part, which gave her credibility in the entertainment industry. Field became a huge star in movies in the late 1970s and 1980 seconds. She made the switch to cinema without any problems, and her works, like Norma Ray 1979, in which she played a Southern textile worker who becomes a union organizer, were both critically and commercially successful. She won an Academy Award for Best Actress for the part, which solidified her image as a powerful actress who can play strong, complicated women. She won another Oscar for her role as a widowed mother in Texas during the Great Depression in Places in the Heart 1984. She had a hard time keeping her farm and family together. These movies showed off her range, emotional depth, and uncompromising honesty, which are now her trademarks. Sally Field has had a lot of great movies in addition to her Oscars. In 1977, East Smokeaki and the Bandit, she and Burt Reynolds made a great match because of her charisma and humorous timing. Steel Magnolia's 1989 movie, in which she played a mother who was heartbroken at the death of her daughter, is still one of the most iconic scenes in modern cinema. In 1993's Mrs. Doubtfire, she played a loving mother who was funny and warm. In 1994's Forrest Gump, she played Gump's smart, strong mother in a part that became famous. Each project showed how well she could switch between comedy and drama, between light and heavy. The Christmas Tree was her first movie as a director in 1996. In the years that followed, she directed an episode of the TV miniseries From the Earth to the Moon, and her debut movie, Beautiful. Field also did well on TV during her career. She received another Emmy for her role as matriarch Nora Walker in the hit series Brothers and Sisters from 2006 to 2011. This was decades after Sybil. These projects showed that she was still important and talented, even as the entertainment business transformed around her. She played Aunt May in the superhero blockbuster The Amazing Spider-Man and Mrs. Abraham Lincoln in the period drama Lincoln. These are her most recent roles in movies. She will play Aunt May again in the sequel to Spider-Man, which is set to come out in 2014. Sally Field is known for more than just acting. People also admire her advocacy and bravery in speaking out. She has been a strong supporter of women's rights, workers' rights, and LGBTQ+ rights for a long time. She often uses her position to bring attention to causes that are important to her. In 2012, she won the Human Rights Campaign's Ally for Equality Award for being so vocal in her support of her homosexual son and for LGBTQ+ rights in general. Not only is she a Hollywood star, but her work as an advocate has made her a role model for honesty and kindness. In Pieces, Field's 2018 book showed another side of her life. It was honest and often unpleasant about her childhood, profession, relationships, and personal problems. People liked the book because it was honest and brave, and it gave people a close look at the lady behind the screen. Sally Field has had an amazing career. She has won 2 Oscars, 3 Emmys, 2 Golden Globes, and the Kennedy Center honor in 2019, which is one of the top honors in the arts. These awards show how she has had a lasting effect on American society. But what really makes her stand out is how honest she is in every role. People believe Sally Field because she always seems real. She always seems real, whether she's playing a vivacious teen, a sad mother, or a dedicated activist. Field was in the comedy movie 80 for Brady in 2023. Tom Brady, an NFL quarterback, was in it with Jane Fonda, Lily Tomlin, and Rita Moreno. Field also won the Screen Actors Guild Life Achievement Award in 2023. She got it at the 29th Screen Actors Guild Awards. Sally Field's personal life has been just as busy and complicated as her amazing playing career. In 1968, she married Stephen Craig, an actor and producer. Their marriage had problems right away, and although they officially split up in 1973, the marriage wasn't completely over until 1975. Field and Craig had 2 boys together while they were together. Each of them would go on to build a name for himself in the arts. Their first son, Peter Craig, was born in 1969. He became a novelist and screenwriter, and he eventually made a name for himself in both literature and Hollywood storytelling. Their second son, Eli Craig, was born in 1972. He took a different path in the entertainment business, becoming both an actor and a director. He did this in a unique and dynamic way that carried on his mother's creative history. Field's marriage to Craig, which didn't survive, was an important time in her life, since it combined her early years as a mother with her growing acting career, which was starting to take off at the time. Field started seeing Burt Reynolds, one of Hollywood's most charming performers, when her marriage ended. People were very interested in their relationship from 1976 to 1980, especially since they were in 4 well-known movies together: Smokey and the Bandit, Smokey and the Bandit 2, The End, and Hooper. People spoke about them a lot in Hollywood at the time because the chemistry they had on film was the same as the chemistry they had in real life. Field and Reynolds' relationship formally ended in 1980, although they still saw each other from time to time as they dealt with the difficulties of having both personal and professional lives that were intertwined. Their on-again, off-again relationship lasted until 1982, which was the conclusion of a very public and well-watched part of Field's love life. Even though they broke up, the years Field spent with Reynolds were a time of growth and self-discovery for her as she tried to manage the pressures of celebrity with her need for real connection. Sally Field got married to businessman Alan Greeman in 1984. They would spend a lot of time together as adults. They welcomed a boy named Sam in 1987, which made Field's family bigger and gave her more things to do as a mother. This marriage, which was full of shared experiences and the joys of raising a kid, terminated in divorce in 1994. Even still, every relationship and family experience Field had helped her comprehend love, partnership, and parenthood, which changed her as a person and as a professional. Her journey through marriage, parenting, and high-profile relationships shows a lady who is trying to balance the difficulties of life in the public eye while still being very dedicated to her children and her work. Sally Field, the famous actress, who has won many awards and has been in the business for more than 60 years, has now decided to be honest and open about her time working with the legendary actor James Garner. She is now 78 years old. Field worked with Garner, who is noted for his charisma, wit, and compelling screen presence. He was also someone who had a big impact on her life, both emotionally and professionally. Field has been praised over the years for how well she can show genuine emotion on screen, how well she can time her jokes, and how hard she works to be real in every part she takes on. But when it comes to talking about Garner, she acknowledges that she held back for a long time, partially out of respect for his privacy and partly because of the mixed feelings that came with their shared past. Field starts by saying, "I've always admired him from a distance," her voice full of both nostalgia and respect. James had an easy charm about him, but he was so humble that it was hard not to appreciate him right away. "I guess I spent a long time trying to find the proper words, and maybe I waited until I felt like I could say everything honestly without making him seem less than he was." Field remembers their first meeting and paints a vivid picture of a teenage actress going onto a studio lot, scared but excited. She says, "I remember feeling a mix of awe and disbelief the first time I met James. People talked about this man in quiet, admiring tones because he had played so many famous roles. Suddenly, I was in a scene with him. I was scared, and I think he knew it. He had a knack of making people feel better just by being himself. It's a rare gift, and I think that's why so many people were pulled to him." She also talks honestly about the subtleties of working with someone like Garner. James had this rhythm and instinctual sense of timing and passion on set that made every scene feel like it was alive. He was a generous actor who never tried to steal the show. He always made the scene the best it could be. That kind of kindness is hard to find in Hollywood, and it's something that has stuck with me all these years. I learned not only how to act from watching him work, but also how to be patient, kind, and calm under pressure. Field doesn't shy away from the emotional aspects of their connection, indicating at how complicated their friendship is. "We weren't just coworkers. We had very human moments that you can't always get on video. We laughed together, fought together, and sometimes disagreed, like strong-willed people do. But what really struck me was how kind he was. James had a way of making you feel like you were recognized, cherished, and respected, which is not something you find often in this field. I've thought about it a lot, and I realized that one reason I didn't say anything right away was that his presence in my life was so important to me that I didn't want to risk making it less important by saying it too soon." She admires Garner for more than just his work. James was not only a great performer, but he was also a great person. Field stresses that he had a quiet strength and a moral compass that led him in ways that were encouraging. He stayed grounded, courteous, and moral in a culture that often prizes flair over substance. Those traits made him a pleasure to work with, but more significantly, they made him someone you could trust and learn from. Finally, Field talks about the legacy Garner left behind, both in Hollywood and in the lives of the people who knew him. "He affected so many lives in ways that go far beyond movies and TV," she says softly. "It's easy to remember him for the roles he played, but what really makes him who he is how he treated people, with respect, humor, and kindness. At this point in my life, when I think about him, I'm thankful that I knew him and that I got to share even a small part of his journey." James Garner was a once-in-a-lifetime talent, yes, but he was also an amazing person who made an impression on everyone who met him. And I hope that my words help people comprehend how amazing he really was. In these remarks, Sally Field not only pays tribute to James Garner's lasting legacy, but she also gives us a very personal look at how much he changed her life. At 78, her comments are heavy with years of memories, feelings, and experiences. They give fans and people who knew him a rare and poignant picture of a man whose brilliance went far beyond the screen.